A prayer for moderation seems like kind of an odd thing to pray for in our culture. Hi, everyone. This is R.A. Sweeney here to talk to you about another passage from the book Praying with the Writings as part of the Praying with the Bible series. Today, I wanted to talk about the last prayer that we find in the book of Proverbs in chapter 30. And we've got a prayer from a guy named Agur, which great name. If you're having a kid, go with Agur. That'll make friends. But so Agur is actually the Hebrew word for someone who compiles. So I call him the compiler in my writing. And so the way that I look at this, we're right at the end of Proverbs, and we've got this guy named the compiler. And so I don't know if we're really meant to say like this is the guy who compiled the Proverbs into one book, or if it's someone who has like mentally like assimilated all of this. Like I've processed the Proverbs, I've brought it all together personally and like internalized it as like I get what's going on. And he's got this little prayer in what he is saying. And he's asking God for two things. He doesn't want to be deceived, which is great in our culture. If you think about like how much just falsehood there is, people are blatantly lying about things. People are proclaiming to be experts on things that they have no business proclaiming to be experts on. We've got AI is producing like fake videos and stuff like that. Like so much out there is meant to just trick us and deceive us. And, oh, I was just kidding. You know, it was supposed to be a joke. Was it? Or even if it was, like a lot of things are just, we're getting deceived by a lot of things, or we're at least being bombarded by deception. And he's praying like, don't, like, help me to see truth. And then the other thing is he says, don't let me be rich or poor. And I'm like, well, that's a really weird thing to think of. In our culture, we think like, let me be rich. Like all my problems will be solved if I'm rich. And oh, I can do so much good if I'm rich and things like that. And he's like, no. When I sit with the book of Proverbs, my two fears are one, that I'm going to be deceived and walk away from you, God. And two, that either in poverty I'll curse you or in riches I'll forget you. And that's kind of his distillation of the whole book of Proverbs is like, I need to be worried about deceit. I need to be worried about forsaking God in my suffering or forgetting about him in my prosperity. And like that desire to stay in between in that space of like, I don't have everything I could need, but I have enough that I'm not bitter. And it just keeps me in that sweet spot of depending on you. Like the Israelites in the wilderness, they had everything they needed right when they needed it, but no more. And it was this constant state of dependence. So I think those are great things for us to reflect on and for us to look at in our prayer lives is how do we pray like that? So that's what I have about for this week. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope it was a blessing.